So about a year and a half ago or so, I had this idea. I was chilling in my parents' backyard, and I had just watched, I believe it was Spectre, the James Bond movie, and one of the Santa Claus with Tim Allen. And the idea popped in my head is how fun would it be to do Santa Claus as a James Bond villain, and what would that look like? So, I took part in some of my vices, and the idea came to me within about 5 minutes. So 65 million years ago, when the dinosaurs inhabited Earth, in a galaxy far from ours, there was a planet in equal distance from their sun as we are to ours. Same environment, extremely similar. Problem was, is their planet was dying. So the species in which inhabited that planet, which we would know as elves, decided to send scouts out to try to find another planet where they could live and survive. They found Earth eventually, but it being covered in dinosaurs, they devised a plan. Using their magic, they pushed a boulder towards the planet, wiping out the dinosaurs. From there, they moved on to Earth, they fed their magic into it. With the Earth thrived, they thrived, and their magic thrived. But the thing was, is not all the species had died. There was a deep sea-dwelling species of sea monkey who lived in the Mariana Trench, even deeper than the Mariana Trench, in sub-pockets underneath the Earth. That when the magic was flushed through the Earth, it also flushed into them, massively expanding their evolution. So eventually, over the course of a couple hundred years, humans had formed. So began the time of the human and the elves. Human and the elves thrived off each other, but eventually the humans got too strong and didn't want the elves around anymore. So started the dark times, and the war began. And the war spanned hundreds and hundreds of years of elves and men fighting against each other, eventually leading to about the extinction of 90 to 95% of the elves. The remaining elves, fearing of their death, retreated to the top of the planet in a sub-universe that they had created with their magic, hidden away from the humans, and then which we would call the North Pole. Eventually, humans forgot about the elves. Times went on, and the elves watched in silence as the humans took over this planet and became the apex predator. Eventually, not having anyone equal or greater to fight against, humans turned on themselves. Elves, realizing this, figured out that on the same trajectory, the humans would wipe themselves out. And if the humans wiped themselves out, there would not be enough elves left to sustain the magic in the planet. The magic would evaporate back into the universe, and the humans and elves would initially go extinct. So they came up with another plan. This time the elves decided to take their magic and put a fair chunk of it into the greatest of them. One who can be trusted with the power of securing the humans and the elves' lives. This creature, an omnipotent being, was known as Santa Claus, and his job was to fly around the Earth once a year and spread the magic of love and joy in order to ensure that the humans didn't completely destroy themselves. Not presents, nothing like that, but just magic spread across the world. So here's the thing with that whole situation. For every 10 years a human lives, an elf lives 100. So elves live to 900 to 1,000 years old relatively. Some live to 700, 800, but they don't live more than 1,000 years most of the time. Santa Claus is an omnipotent being, meaning that he is immortal, but he has a mortal's mind, being that an elf became him, a mortal mind in an immortal body. And the problem with that is eventually mortal minds start to crack over the endless time of eternity spent on Earth. So the clause that was implemented that at a time Santa was unfit, he could choose his successor or choose not to succeed, and then a chosen one would present himself, and the chosen one would challenge Santa Claus. And this had worked very well, up until Santa Claus number 4, who was reluctantly chosen because Santa 3 was just not having it, and he was just like, give it to this guy. Terrible fucking choice. So here's the thing. Our story revolved around that idea, would consist around 4 orphans. This is pretty much the logline for the series, miniseries, whatever. 4 orphans raised to be assassins take on their final mission as adults to hunt down and finally kill Santa Claus. Why them? Why do they know about this? If elves were in hiding for so long, humans don't know about elves. They've forgotten. They are fairy tales, they're fables, they're myths. When they were young, their father and mothers were part of a society which had been around for hundreds of years, which was eventually... I haven't come up with a name for the society yet, but it was a group of elves during Santa IV's reign had escaped and told humans and about exactly what was going on and trained them for the possibility to one day take this guy down, because the ones who have opposed him have lost and whatever, right? So the parents of these 4 orphans 20 years ago were on a mission to finally stop him. The mission failed, but what they succeeded to do was successfully set off a magic bomb, so to speak, that would encapsulate the North Pole for 20 years. No elves in, no elves out, Santa can't leave, and no one can enter, which I would bring all social and global warming kind of realistic stuff into that being the reason of where the world is in the story. Children of Men-esque, to say, because Santa can't fly around and spread his love and magic. But the spell's about to lift, and Santa's been gotten kinda angry and decides to leave the North Pole this time once the spell barrier is gone, destroy it, killing all the elves, taking their remaining magic into himself, and then using that to morph the human race into a species of dark elves, initially taking over the planet and clouding it in darkness. So that's how I would do Santa as a Bond villain, initially. The story would follow these 4 siblings who were adopted by the, eccentric billionaire who was the team leader for their parents before their parents died. And they were raised to stop Santa Claus. That guy had ended up dying in their late teens, and then they all went on to live their lives, and with no evidence of this, they just assumed that it was all a manipulation tactic or whatever exactly from him. And the show would pretty much start with them in their... let's say they were like 6 or 7 when their parents died, so you make them like 26, 27, and there would be a group of elves who would be integral to the series that would approach them, and the whole thing would be about, okay, yeah, we gotta go kill Santa Claus. But I think it really saves the sanctity of Santa, because Santa being so loved, so profoundly loved by society and being such a hope of joy, it's like Santa himself isn't evil, it's just this Santa's evil. So the next Santa could be great and everything could be fine. But yeah, no, that, and the other form of inspiration I think that really came from that is I remember seeing a video of these kids walking down to see Santa, and Santa goes shh, and then pulls out a silencer and shoots them both dead. And from there I was like, I love the idea of evil Santa. So that's exactly how I do it. I don't know where exactly it would go for, whether it be a trilogy or whether it would be a 8-episode miniseries run, or maybe started as a graphic novel, but I think it would be cool. And yeah, before I end it off, I'm going to pretty much give you guys the log line again and then let you know what the title I've had for this show or movie or whatever for so many years now, 2-3 years. I can't exactly remember. It's been a while. I've really molded around. But yeah, the log line would be 4 orphans raised as assassins take on their life's mission to hunt down and finally kill Santa Claus. And though it might be controversial, I think a great name for this show would be The Naughtiest Kids You Knew. Because they're hunting down and killing Santa. They're on his naughty list. So that's the show idea, graphic novel, movie trilogy. What if Santa was a Bond villain? Thank you guys for tuning in. More episodes coming soon.